Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing? I'm so excited to do this live today. I have a very special guest with me, and you guys know the drill. You know what we do here. Every week, we take an entrepreneur and we put him in the hot seat and we take him back to where he was facing his biggest challenges and struggles and figure out how it is, what it is that they did to become the entrepreneurs that they are today. And today I have Mr. The I Am the Possible. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. Just really looking forward to, just participating in this moment with you, sharing in this moment with you and with your audience, and just adding any value that I can this afternoon. So thanks again for having me. Really appreciate it.
No, I'm super excited. So I say let's just jump right in. Um, you have a very, very, very moving story, and I don't even know where to begin. So I'm going to let you start and tell me a little bit about who you are and where you come from and how your journey began in this world.
Yeah. Well, my journey began like maybe so many others. Didn't grow up with a father and a mother in the home necessarily. I was raised by my grandmother. So all of my formative years and all of my going through middle school, high school was all being raised by my grandmother. And so we grew up in a typical middle class neighborhood. But I was faced with with many of the same challenges that I believe so many other you know teenagers today are faced with, and with so many other people that that they currently face. I grew up at around 7 years of age. I started to stutter, and just kind of developed this whole speech impediment. And I was picked on. I was teased a lot by that, called names, bullied because of that. Around that same time, I began to pick up weight. And again, I was bullied and called the fat kid, and isolated and pushed to the side, and just spent a lot of my early years just being the outcast, being overlooked, being shunned, and I really developed a very low self-esteem, had very little self-worth, had very little self-value, did not love or appreciate myself because of my environment and because of the events of my life and the things that I suffered. I even shared with you, prior to the broadcast, that I was, molested multiple times, family members and by total strangers. And so there's a lot of my background and a lot of the things that I've gone through early on really shaped me to be in a position where I did not value who I was or what I was. So not a horrible childhood in terms of what grandmother did for me, but just my environment and the events of my earlier years really helped to shape that.
Yeah, well, you did have a very difficult life. I understand what you're saying, though. When we get to this point where we know ourselves and we find ourselves loved, we're able to see the love we had around us, too. Like you said, you had a grandmother that loved you, and probably that's why you were able to even like survive everything that you did. The problem that, so many of us face is that unfortunately we hold on to the negative aspects because they're the ones that affect us the most and that hurt us the most,
That's
you
right.
know? So
Mm-hmm.
this is where the
Yep.
problems begin because then there's no self-love and you make the wrong decisions. So what did this do in your personal life? Because I'm sure that if you were not feeling worthy, I'm sure the decisions that you started making and the choices that you started making weren't that wise either, because that's what happens to all of us.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. Yeah, and it's so profound that you even mentioned the decision parts, because we choose, the choices, our decisions. We navigate life out of our own, philosophy. I was just sharing the other day on a live was that our reality the is really the projection of our own philosophy, and our philosophies, what we believe about ourselves, the way that we see life, the way that we see others, the way that we interact with other people. It's really shaped by what we think and how we feel about ourselves. And so there was two major decisions that I can recall that really helped to shape my life and really, I believe, ultimately get me where I am today. The first one was at the age of 18. I had a full ride to college. College was covered financially, but because of my lack of value, because of my lack of self worth, I chose to smoke weed, sit in the back of class. And I remember one Saturday morning, my grandmother getting a letter, and they said, your son Terrell Lynch, he's not been attending class, right? And I didn't even know that colleges even told on you like that. I thought we were adults, right? But they still sent the letter anyway, right? Right, you're right. Bing, like what are you talking about? But the fact is, I was there. I would just smoke weed before I went to class, and I would sit in the back, and I would just not be present, right? And so I remember her saying, and this was the best thing that she'd ever did for me, by the way. She said, "Okay, here's the two choices that you got. You're gonna either go to college, or you're gonna get out of here. Like you're gonna leave." And because I did not value myself, I did not see a future for myself, I chose to leave. And the next 2 years following that, because I remember it like yesterday, it was on a Saturday morning that she got the letter. The next Saturday, literally, my clothes were on the front porch. And I remember leaving, and for the next 2 years, I became like this homeless, house hopping guy out in the streets, doing drugs, selling drugs, getting into all kinds of madness, but just having to find a place to stay night by night, week by week, month by month. And I remember my lowest point, being, on, being in a position where I was sleeping on a floor, a roach infested apartment building, not too far where or not too far from where I actually grew up. And I remember taking my t-shirt off at night and balling it up and sleeping on my t-shirt, and that was my pillow. But that was that decision that I made because I did not value myself. Um, yeah, right. So the other decision, let me just share really quick. The other decision was, and I always try to share this one because I remember, as I was processing the work that I do today and the people that I am looking to help today, I always remember this moment in my life, really, really, quick. Um, I had just finished picking up about an ounce of marijuana, cost me like 120 bucks. And I'm sitting in the back seat of a car, and the guys that I were with, they set me up to get robbed. And so, long story short, I'm in the alleyway, I'm by myself, and two guys run out from both sides of the house, and there's a guy in the front, he puts a gun through the window, but the guy in the back seat where I was, he put the gun through the window. I had my window rolled down, and he put a gun to the side of my head, and he says, "Give me what you got." And I always say, he didn't really say, "Give me what you got." He used some other adjectives, right? But he basically said, "Give me what you have," right? And I told him no. Then he asked me again, and I told him no. Now this is with a gun touching my head, not just kind of like, oh, someone kind of like pointing a gun at you. The gun was pressed against my temple, and he asked me for the third time, and I told him no again, and he pulled the trigger. And I always remember the sound of that hammer, being pulled back and popping forward, but the bullet didn't come out. And I always remember the fact that, in the hood, we kind of live by a code. I carried a gun at that time as well. I didn't have it on me that particular day, but no one's going to let you know that their gun isn't loaded because I could pull out my gun and I can come right back at you just as soon as you came at me. So I always thank God for intervening and saving my life that day. That was nothing short of a miracle because that bullet did not come out. But again, to your point, I decided to tell that man no 3 times for $120 bag of weed that I smoked up, by the way, just later on in that day. That bag of weed never saw the light of the next day.
Can I ask, what were you thinking in that moment? Like, what was going on in your head?
Mm-hmm. I I don't recall the immediate maybe thoughts, but it was, you're not going to take what I have. You're not going to get over on me. You're not going to have I'm going to prove something. I'm going to prove, because even once they let me out the car, because again it was a setup. So once the guy pulled the trigger, he ran off. And the other guys that were in the car with me, they jumped back in the car. We sped off down the alleyway, and they dumped me off in the street. And when I got out, I began to scream at the top of my lungs, "He didn't take what I got." and again, I'm using other words, by the way, but I'm screaming. He didn't take what I got, and so I think I was thinking, you're just not gonna get over on me.
Right. But you, thank you. You did answer my question. But if we go a little deeper and we examine that, it was your ego then that
Oh yeah.
yeah, it was your ego. And that's exactly what I mean, how sometimes we misconstrue things, right? Because we think ego is I'm proud, I'm this, I'm that. And then because that's exactly what happened to me. I thought I was confident. Then I lost everything and I
Yeah.
realized I have no self-worth. So you see, it's a
Yeah.
false sense that we all hold on to, and so that's so important. Like that, you even mentioned that. So how did you manage to then? What happened at that point? Did it wake you up? Was that the last moment that you were like, wow, my life is going in the wrong direction. Like I really got to do something, or is there still more to the story?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a whole lot more to the story, but I'll summarize it. But no, because that was at the age of 20. Excuse me. And so no, that was just one more. Excuse me. That was just one more thing in the hood. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But no, no, that was just one more. That was just one more day in the hood. So I thought at that time. So no, nothing really clicked. Nothing changed. It was the next day. Like I said, later on that day, I smoked up the ounce of marijuana, and the next day I bought some more, and so things kept going on. The the point where things changed for me was about a year later. I found myself being brought up on charges for armed robbery, and I was in the county jail. And at that time, my wife now was my girlfriend then. She was pregnant with our first son. We have four children now, but she was pregnant with our first son. And so I was in that position where, you kind of find yourself with your back against the wall type of thing. It's, dude, you're out here, you're robbing, you're stealing, you're lying, you're cheating, you're running the streets, you're abusing yourself, you're abusing other people. Some of these things I can't even mention on air, but I was just in a bad place. And sitting in that jail cell gave me the space and the time to really reflect and say, okay, what am I going to do with my life? What hey, what choices am I going to make? And so in the midst of me being able to be isolated for a minute and to slow down for a minute, I attended a service. It was a church service, because every Sunday they kind of come around and they let you out the cell
Right.
for about a half an hour or so. And I attended a Sunday morning service, and I always say I don't even remember the entire moment. It's like a blur. But the only thing that I do remember is these women from the local church that they came, but this one woman, she shared a story about Jesus. And it was this idea that there was a man that died for me, that loves me, that accepts me, that wants me so bad that he would literally sacrifice his life to be reunited with me. And that was the first time that something gripped my heart and really said, dude, you have no evidence of your value. You have no evidence of your worth. Ain't nothing in your life telling you that you're worth nothing. Like, you're just running the streets doing all this craziness, but there's nothing that's really saying you matter. And in that moment, I mattered. I mattered to the point that someone would give their life for me. And so they welcomed, anyone up who wanted to give their life to God, as we say it. And I gave my life to God. And that was the turning point. Being reunited, coming into a relationship with God, that was the game changer for me. That was the turning point for me. From that moment on, life didn't get perfect, but it definitely turned completely around, and I began to build a life after that.
It's funny because I love the whole, yeah, I love talking about God and spirituality because I believe
Mm-hmm.
that we grow through relationships. As imperfect humans,
Mm-hmm.
we come into this experience and we don't understand that we have everything within ourselves. you know? And I believe that that's what God does. It helps us develop that relationship with ourselves because we are believing in something that we do not see. So we have a tendency to know that we have to be stronger then because our faith is out of this world, you know, and it's somehow that inner strength, that strength that we need within, you know. So that's amazing, and it's amazing how you were able to find it right there. So let me ask you, you at this point you were already married?
No. At that point, I was still, boyfriend, girlfriend, but it was right after getting out of jail. Like right after getting out of jail, we went directly into the church. We started serving. My wife and I started serving, and then a year later, we were married. So, well, no, I'm sorry. We began to serve for the next few years. I'm sorry, and then we got married once she was legal age. So yeah, we made now we were starting to make decisions that would benefit and build up our lives versus those that were tearing it down. So no, we weren't immediately married, but soon after that.
And how was your journey with her throughout all this? What was she going through when you were going through all of this? Like, what was your relationship like back then? And then tell me a little bit about what it's like now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's truly, as we say, ride or die. She's truly ride or die. In fact, there were other times that I went to jail that I can look back on now and kind of laugh about the fact that, my wife would say, don't go in that alley shooting that crap, shooting dice or, gambling or whatever. She would always give me the heads up about what I shouldn't be doing and that I do it anyway. But she would always stick by my side. So she's never left me. Since we've been together, we've never been apart. Since we've been together, we've never been apart. And so, yeah, it's been 20 years now. And so, she's the same today as she was, then, only better, but she was a total support through it all. She stuck by my side the entire time. Um, so I can't thank God enough for her.
Right. And how has you working on yourself, finding your self-worth, how has it helped your life? Like, because we say we want things to change, but you and I know that the change only comes, within. If we want to see change out there, it has to start with you. So how did
Yeah.
your world begin to change?
Yeah, my world changed when and this is something that I always talk about, the power of mentorship, the power of relationships, even going back to what you're saying earlier. It's so important that we are intentional about our environment and about the people that we surround ourselves with. But things really began to change once we moved from Toledo, Ohio. We were, all of these things happened while I was in Ohio. We moved to Southern California, and not too long after moving out here to Southern California, I was asked within the church, I was asked to share just a brief message, from the Bible. I could pick any topic. I can talk about anything, and I shared a 15-minute message. And after me sharing that 15-minute message, one of the pastors that were on staff then, he's since passed away. I actually dedicated my newest book to him, Pastor Eric Brown. He came up to me after the message, as I was up front collecting my things, and he put a hand on my shoulder and he looked me in the eye and he said, "Travell, you are a teacher." And I always encourage people that your life can change 5 words. 5 words. That's all it takes. 5 words can totally change and revolutionize your life, because what Eric did in that moment, and I know Eric didn't know what he was doing, or perhaps he did. He was a wise man. Perhaps he did. But he gave me insight into what I was.
Yes.
Who I am is my identity, right? That can change. I can kind of mess with things. Why I am, I can kind of make that up from day to day. My purpose in life is this. My purpose in life is that. But what you are is unchangeable. It's untouchable. It's incorruptible. And he said, "Travell, you are a teacher." Those 5 words resonated with me. And being a teacher means that I'm a communicator. It means that, as I like to say, God is communicating, channeling his love, his appreciation, his value for humanity through me. It means that I'm gifted with abilities and talents that I didn't give myself, that I've been endowed with an ability that comes from my creator to be able to articulate thoughts, ideas, concepts in such a way that other people would be able to grasp it and apply it to their lives. It truly gave me value, truly gave me value. It's like, wow, I'm a teacher, because a teacher educates and edifies and equips and engages with students. And so it gave me everything. So that's when this whole self journey, self development, self improvement, self value, self worth, that's where it all began.
Yeah, but it's once again like I was saying about relationships, how I believe the universe puts us together. We're energy beings, so we attract each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love having these chats, because it's a different journey, but a similar experience what we go through, because as humans we're all the same. So as we go
Mm-hmm.
changing our vibration, we go attracting those things in our lives that resonate with us, and then these experiences that we have with people. And that's the beauty of relationships, that we see things in each other and we're able to point things out in each other,
Yeah.
like he did to you. And isn't that amazing? How would you
Mm-hmm.
have said that 5 years before?
No, no, no way. No, no way. There was no way. No, 5 years ago, I don't. Yeah, if I count back 5 years from then, I was back in that place again of being
Right.
completely worthless to myself. So no, absolutely. I never would have dreamed that my life meant as much as I believe that it does now. But it's not a boast on me. It's, as to you were saying, it's a respect and a love for humanity.
Mhm.
It's a humanity thing. It's, I always say, when you really tap in and you really see your value and your worth, you can't help but express that to humanity, because you know that you've seen yourself when you can see yourself in everybody that you meet. Until then, you've not really seen yourself. Because if it's only all about you and other people are beneath you or they're inferior, then you've never really tapped into to what you really are. Because if you would, then you would also tap into the fact that how we're so interconnected and we're
Exactly.
all still,
Exactly.
one being.
We are one, and we come
Yeah.
into this universe and we forget our power. We forget that we're all connected, that we're all family, that we're all spirit, and we agree to come into this experience. And that's
Yeah.
what relationships are basically, that person saying, hey, you lost your way, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm here to remind you, just like those that come in our way to test us, they're not our enemies either. They are
Mm-hmm.
testing us. They are showing us an aspect of ourselves we don't realize at that time that is what we need to change. And we look at that
Yeah.
person saying you, but we're not seeing the lesson. And that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to capture on this, because I want young people to understand, because I know that we get so lost. And when we're there, we don't see our worth. We think we're worthless, that we don't have value, or, we tend to look at others who have found their talent and either try to
Yeah.
change that, which isn't our talent. And so then we
Mm-hmm.
fail and think we fail. Or
Yep.
two, we just don't think that we're enough, that we're capable, and we lose our way. And so it is so important that
Mm,
you point that out. And
yeah.
it's part of being able to have, all these experiences. And, that's why it saddens me that we don't have more in our culture, that we're losing more of these things, through the education system. How are we supposed to learn about ourselves if we take everything out that shows our expression? There's really no spirituality. There's no
Mm,
physical education. There's no arts. There's no music. So all of these things is what
mhm.
inspire the human body. When we get bogged down, then we lose track of who we are, and then we're unable to explore, because then fear takes in. You know.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what would
Absolutely.
you say to a young person right now? Because you know that there are so many young kids that are probably in worse circumstances, doing things that they have no business doing, or that are
Yeah.
completely lost and depressed, and just they think that they're not worthy.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, depending on the situation or depending on the severity, I've grown in my respect when it comes to psychology and to therapy and things such as that. But more of a general statement that I think would apply to anyone is the fact that um, the way that I saw myself when I was in my mind, and that's where it matters. So if a young person is watching, what matters is your mind. It really doesn't matter what's in anyone else's mind, because at the end of the day, your decisions, your choices, your path in life is going to be determined by your mind and by your philosophy, by your perceptions, by your perspective, by what you believe and what you feel about yourself. And the one thing that I've learned is that thought is conditioned. Thought is conditioned. And so what that means is that the way that we currently think, if you're in a position right now that you think I'm worthless, I'm no good, I'm not worthy of a good life, I'm not worthy of a good person, I'm not worthy of a good boyfriend or girlfriend or a spouse, that's been conditioned in through events, that's been conditioned in through emotions that have been triggered by things that have been done to you, that have been said to you. Those things are the results, those emotions and feelings and those and those belief systems that's been conditioned in by by your experiences. And the most empowering thing that you can do is to acknowledge that if it was conditioned in, then it can be conditioned out.
Mhm.
if if I can pick up I'm worthless, I'm not worthy, I'm not loved, I'm not acceptable, if I can pick that up, then I can also put that down and I can pick up something that says, I am enough, I am worthy, I am acceptable, I am loved. The only the only difference between me being worthless in my own mind and me being worthy in my own mind was the events I experienced, the environments that I was in, and the emotions that were triggered through the relationships that I involved myself in. Because if you listen to my story, it's all about how we relocated, how we got into the church, how I got into a relationship with this mentor or with that mentor. So it's those events, it's those experiences, and it's those environments that condition us. And so if we're conscious and if we're selective about who we're letting around us, where we're taking our physical body, where we're kind of, where we are, and if we're able to take events that happen to us, I forgot what the quote is, but it's basically it's not what happens to you, but it's how you respond to it, type of thing. It's when you can look at the event and say that happened to me, but that's not me. It happened to me, but it's not me. Those would be some of the
I
building blocks to kind of dealing with not feeling worthy.
Yeah, I always say that when I change those words, like, okay, this is happening for me, because
Hmm.
because you're saying it in a positive way. This is happening to me for a reason, but we don't tend to do
Hmm.
that sometimes. This is happening to me. This is happening to me, and we get overwhelmed. But if you start
Right.
thinking, okay, this is happening for me, that automatically your brain, because that's what our brain is. Our brain is a computer, a quantum computer, and it wants to solve problems. So the minute you
Yep.
change the question, because you're telling the brain, don't do
Yeah.
anything, this is happening to me, I can't help it. But when you
Right.
say this is happening for me, your brain is like, what?
Yeah.
Hold up here.
Yep.
Okay, so how is this
Hmm.
happening for me? Wait, let me write this down. You see, and it's not
Right.
to find a solution, because that's what it is. That's what this experience is about.
Hmm.
And the funny thing is that I read a statistic that said that by the time a child is 17, he has been told 100,000 times, no, you can't. No, you can't.
Mm. Wow.
That's in the
Wow.
United States. I don't know anywhere else in the world, but that was a United
Right.
States.
Right.
Okay, so imagine that. If you've heard something
Right.
100,000 times, that becomes a part of you. That becomes a part
Oh,
of
absolutely.
your belief system. It becomes a part of who you are. And it's changing, like you said, because our brain is a computation. What you put in is what you get out. So when you change the story, then you get to write another story, you know?
That's right.
So the words
Right.
I am are the most powerful words in the universe. And we have to remember that what we attach to those words means everything in our lives.
Yes.
Everything in our lives. So to kids, start writing things down. The minute you start feeling crappy, just think, whoa, what am I thinking here? Okay, so I suck.
Mm-hmm.
I got an F in test. My girlfriend left me. Okay, well, how can I change this around? Why did this happen? Why did I get an F?
Mm-hmm.
How can I do better? And what
Right.
is it teaching me? Like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we try to hold on to things. Okay, try to think, okay, maybe you lost this part, but how can you gain from it so it doesn't happen again? And the funny thing is that, we pray for that new relationship and you don't know if that new relationship will be with that person that you love, but it'll be a new relationship.
Right.
You you
Right.
can hope. It's all about mental attitude. It's so true. It's so true. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do now? Let's hear the fun stuff. Let's hear the good stuff.
Right, right, right. Well, I like to tell people that I help people to see what they are, and I always use my little magnifying glass. This is my little guy right here. I always say I help people to see what they are so they can like what they see. I believe that we live in a society where not many people, including teenagers, we don't really like what we see because by definition, if you ever looked up the word like, some people say, oh yeah, I like myself, I like her, I like him. But really, when you understand the word like means to find something to be enough. That means you don't need more of it. It means like means to find something to be acceptable. So that means that you find yourself to be acceptable. And to like something means to find it satisfactory. That means, and that's really my target. It means that I am satisfied with myself. And so, what do I do today? I help people to see what they are so they can like what they see. They can come to a place of satisfaction with and in themselves. And that's been the game changer for me. Once I became okay with me, the limitations began to fall off. Once I became okay with me, I was able to be of greater service to other people. Once I became okay with me, I began to love people more. I began to give more. I began to be more in my relationships and, online and, in my business and on my job. I became a contribution, and so
Yeah.
that's my passion, that's my profession, and that's what I help people to come to really realize what are you, and knowing what you are, then you're able to then be the contribution that you were created to be.
That's a great message. That's a great message because, I see a lot of people and I see a lot of marketing and a lot of pushing towards, the money, the cars, the beautiful body. And you see all these young girls that want to all look like Kim Kardashian and they're getting their boobs done. They're getting their butts done. They're getting their lips done. They're getting their hair done. They're getting their eyelashes. I mean, they don't know what else to do. And they don't realize that you're going to get that boyfriend, but that boyfriend's just going to cheat. He's going to leave her again because the love has to come from here. The self-acceptance starts with you. You're just trying to attract the outer world. But if you don't accept yourself, you know what? People are not stupid. People are not stupid when they see it. Those guys see it. They look at the body. It's hot. They want it. They're going to take it. They're going to hit it. But it doesn't mean they're going to welcome you after a certain while. Because why? It's not that there's something wrong with them. They're not bad guys. You're not valuing yourself because I hear this from girls all the time. What an a-hole. Now he went and married that girl and had 2 kids and you're not seeing it. He's not the a-hole. Okay? You're not learning from the lesson. You didn't value yourself. He valued you as much as you valued yourself. And people just keep on wanting to change the outer world. And I keep on trying to tell them, you need to change it in here. Because you know what? You can, it's like marketing and branding. It doesn't have to put out the latest, hey, and the latest sale because they have a message. People are going to buy the sale and then they're going to forget you again because you didn't create a brand, because you don't have value. And that's what I want people to understand. And that's why I push towards development, because it's pretty much the only way that people are able to go through the process and stick to it and stick to it and see
Mm-hmm.
results. So I'm so
Yep.
grateful to be able to do this with you and to be able to participate with people like you who, because sometimes I believe that God gives these experiences to those that he knows who can take it. You know,
Yeah.
you had horrible
That's right.
experiences, but you are a strong enough man, and I'm sure
Mm.
he will find his way. He will find his way. A couple of shortcuts, because we all try to take shortcuts. You know?
Right. Always. Yes.
We're looking for the money, but we're not understanding that when you do something of value, when you love yourself and you find that vision, that purpose, which always usually involves helping and serving others, because that's what life is
Always.
about. It's about paying it forward. It's
Right.
not about, because people are like, oh, that's so cheesy or whatever, but it's really not.
Correct.
It's really not.
No.
It's been, I have something good, and if I can share it with someone else, if I could pay it forward, you know what? That's what the universe rewards. You want abundance? You want the bling bling?
That's right.
Serve
Uh
others.
huh.
Serve
Yes.
others,
Yes.
and the bling bling
Yes.
will follow. So that's how we should.
Right.
Message right there.
Right. That's right. If you want to, like I teach people, listen, if you want to grow it, sow it. Whatever you sow, you grow. Whatever you sow, you grow. Every seed has a harvest. If you want more of it, sow more of it. You will get a return on your investment. It's just how the universe works. It's a universal principle. It's seed time and harvest. As long as seeds are going in the ground, harvest is going to come up in season. It's just the way that it works. It's a universal principle. It doesn't matter what you believe in, your religion, your God. If you sow it, whatever it is, it's coming back to you bigger than what you sow. And that's a principle you can take to the bank. So you can apply that in any area of your life. Absolutely.
And amen to
Yep.
that. And actually, I want to acknowledge some of the people that have been sitting here with us and listening. We have so many
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
messages. Like, Lena, thank you so much. We love you. We both love you. We love you too. So
Yes, yes.
participate in this with us. And we have also, hey, Naveed. Thank you so much. It's been so long. We gotta chat. We gotta chat. And Heather too. Great messages, good insight. Thank you so much, you guys, for listening.
Awesome.
We appreciate it so much, and we're glad that we were able to bring any value to you,
Yes, right.
because that's what it's all about. Like we said, paying it forward. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that I shouldn't even be saying it, but I get so excited. And, I'm so happy that we're gonna get to participate in a project together. And I just want to let you guys know that in a couple of weeks we're gonna be announcing something really, really exciting. If you guys like this, you're gonna absolutely love that, and we hope that you can also participate in it too. And with that being said, we're going to let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your day. And once
Yes.
again, have a beautiful day. Be legendary. And remember, follow your intuition, listen to your heart, and know that you are worthy and that all the greatness, everything that you're searching for out there is already in here. It's just knowing how to tap into it and then pursuing it without fear. Thank you guys so much for being here. And we will see you the next time on Wake Up America. All right. Bye bye, guys.